What is going on, everyone? Welcome back to another episode of the Hockey Lab podcast. As always, I'm your host, Coach A, here with
Coach Gards.
We're joined by
Cody Hodgson.
welcome.
Oh,
How are you?
so
Coho.
excited.
Coho.
Good to be here, boys. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. How'd the game go today, fellas? Big Wednesday. Second last one, by the way, just so you know.
Oh,
Coming
okay.
to an end.
You're coming to an end. Yeah. Well, golf.
good year.
A couple courses open up this weekend, so I think that's usually the gauge.
Yeah, we were talking about that.
Yeah. So second last one, unless someone else wants to GM the league moving forward for the next week after that or second week after that. I'm done GMing the league for this year.
Are
So
we going to move it to the new facility?
what do you guys think? I like 3-on-3.
Big
It's
ice.
tons of fun. The problem, well, Big Ice is one. So like Brian and I are going to get exposed as bad as imaginable. Sorry, Brian. You just got burned a couple times out there today too.
Good hands.
You've got good hands. Yeah, no. But the problem is that you then need to find 20 people instead of 12.
Yeah.
Yeah.
On
You could do that, though.
On
On a weekly basis?
you could do that is what you said. You didn't say I could do that or we could do that. You said you could do that.
You got to
So-
recruit Max Lewis.
Max,
He's got about 600 people in his
a
database.
Rayodex?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah?
I think they pay him to organize games for them.
How many pickup skates do you skate in now?
Just two.
Just
And
two?
then, I joined a crazy men's league this past year,
Do
too.
you play men's league?
Just for fun with a buddy that I played minor hockey with. He got me into it. Yeah, and then I had to throw a cage on it because it got way too intense.
Oh,
Was that the outdoor league you
It
played?
was the DMHL. The outdoor league's great. It's
Yeah.
fun. It's not a league. It's just a private skate over Withrow Park. That's a lot of fun.
the DMHL,
The DMHL, the Downtown Men's Hockey League.
the Downtown Men's Hockey.
Yeah, and it's guys that finish playing pro and they want something to do. They're not getting paid, but it's probably the best men's league in the world.
Is it?
Guys,
Yeah, incredible.
I remember my first game back. I took three one-timers, and guys blocked them
No way.
on purpose.
Soak them.
What am I
Chris
doing?
Tanev was out there. That's insane.
Guernsey went down with his face to block something. I was like, yeah.
That is a big
Can't
difference.
turn it off, you know.
I do notice that like this skate, you can not wear a cage and it's okay. Like everyone's like pretty controlled. It's all right. Everyone's having fun. But then you get into a different skate. Like I play with my brother every Christmas when I go home and it is like a hazard. I think I skate around like this.
Yeah, I've had all my T3 done, and it's thousands of dollars of damage. So I actually had, before I came back, I had the surgery where you're supposed to do after you're done playing,
Okay.
because you get like the posts into your
Yeah.
skull, like the metal posts.
So if they get caved in, it's going to be,
Yeah, like cracks your skull. So it was a really dangerous thing. I didn't even realize it after I got back, because my second game in, I'm like, oh shit, I already did my teeth.
should have kept them all.
Get the cage
I
going.
was gonna be coming back after 8 years.
You're good. Keep going. Keep talking. What was the jest for you? Let's get a little closer to your mouth. So.
I think we have a lot to offer at the facility. Think about like the saunas and the cold tubs and all that stuff after.
Yeah, that's what I need. I need a bunch of guys that play for free to then use all of the facilities just
to hang
as
out.
well after. Yeah. No, I'm going to sign up right up for that.
And we can
Be a
probably
great
get
business
some
model.
catered
That's an easy way to
breakfast.
get 20 guys.
Get
Bar-
breakfast.
Catered breakfast
Should I do
upstairs.
jerseys too? Do you think would that be a good
I
option?
think we could.
Yeah.
I think if you want to compete with some of the other private skates out there, you're gonna have to do it.
How long? Okay, let's chat briefly about past, and then we'll maybe work backwards. So this is close to where you grew up playing hockey.
Yeah.
Richmond Hill area, right?
Yeah, I played for the Markham Waxers growing up. We had a pretty good team.
Whole minor hockey career.
No, I was able to. Well, I grew up in Halliburton until I was 8.
Okay.
So I played for the Huskies up there.
Yep.
And then we moved down here. I missed the rep tryouts. All the tryouts in the smaller town was in the fall right before the season started. So I
Okay.
came down here and I expected the same thing. We missed all the tryouts.
You didn't know.
They had no idea. So I went for trying out for a house league, and because it was the only thing that was available in the fall. And one of the coaches came over and said, Cody, we probably should be playing in the rep. And it's like, okay, thanks, but I didn't know what that meant, right? So he came and he talked to my parents after, and because all the teams, the AAA teams, had been filled up, they said, well, we don't know what to do. So they couldn't take him. Paul Titanic was our coach, came to the house and said, we'd like to sign you for next year.
You were 9 or 10?
I was
Signed a year before.
Yeah, but I was played 2 years out with my brother instead.
Okay.
So we started minor hockey together, and then kind of to wrap up minor hockey was really nice too. I got to play with him in midget. I played 2 years up with him, so
No
we
way.
got to carpool together. And my sisters both played hockey, so we're a big hockey family. They played for the Markham Stouffville Stars down the road. My brother played for the Waxers, so we're just constantly in cars. My grandparents helped drive and get us places, so it was nice that we could start hockey and minor hockey and then finish it together too.
So where'd you guys grow up? In Markham or no?
Yeah, in Markham.
In Markham. Okay.
Did you move down for the hockey? No, your parents were moving. I'm just asking.
That's a legitimate question nowadays. I was
Yeah.
8 years old moving for hockey. I coach a team now. We got some kids from all over the world that have moved in. They started there when they were 10, 11. So I guess it's not that far off for the hockey. No, I had no idea. Like we played in my backyard and played a lot of hockey, but we didn't know we were good or not. Especially small town. You just
It's hard up there.
do your best. And then I came to a minor hockey team that realized later there was 5 of us that played at NHL and one that played as a KHL All-Star. So growing up, you didn't think you were any good. You just played as part of a group that was coached by a dad, the team. And then we realized we were about 15, 16 and we were beating like countries that were a pretty good team.
when we started taking out full countries, we realized, maybe we were decent. So you, Stammer,
Gards,
MDZ.
Delzato, JB Dorbush played one game, and then Matthew Bowdy.
Okay. And then Cam Gauntz on that team too?
Sorry, I said Gauntz.
Oh, you said Gauntz. Okay,
Yeah.
You just retired.
So we had the first 10, 20th, and 50th overall picks in the NHL draft.
First 10, 20.
Scotty Bowman said he's never seen that from a minor hockey team. So if he's saying that, we probably had something pretty special. And we weren't like the teams now where you recruit from literally all over the globe. We're in the same area, coached by a dad.
Who's your coach?
Paul Titanic.
Oh, okay. That was Paul. That's when he signed.
Yeah, and we were very fortunate. He had an opportunity to coach in the NHL, and he stayed in Markham, and we were lucky to have his son was the same age as us, so we got to learn like systems at 8 years old. We were doing things that I think he was probably one of the top coaches I've ever had, even in the NHL. Like Pat Quinn he was second all time in wins. Yeah, Lindy Ruff was right up there too, and I think I would put Paul right behind them.
Really?
Yeah. Like really smart, very tactical, had a book for practice, knew everything. And you really appreciate it now that I'm helping out a buddy coach. You realize how prepared he was and how dialed in, especially the kids are 8 years old.
Did he coach you all the way through?
From the time I was 8 till 14. There was a brief period when we went to the Junior Canadians for 2 years because I would need a little more competition. We won the All Ontario's 6-1 in the final.
That's tight, eh?
So, we were playing at the OMHA and we beat teams 50-0 in the first period. So, our coach would be like, okay, after 10 goals, you got to make 2 passes to score. So we'd make 2 passes to score. Then he'd be like, okay, you need 3 passes to score. We get to 15, he'd be like, okay, you can't score at all anymore. You didn't want to embarrass the teams. And I have a lot of respect for that. Stammer would get a breakaway and he'd take it into a cycle.
He was dumping it in from everywhere.
So we work on systems. We work on our trap. We work on our forechecks and things. So we used it kind of like practice. But it was looking back on it, it's pretty special to learn from world class talent like that as a kid and have him all the way up.
Who's your coach as a kid? You remember any good minor hockey coaches? Anyone stand out?
No, I think I was fortunate. Like you said, Paul was a parent coach, right? Yeah. I just wanted to say that once more time. No, I had look. I was fortunate that I sort of had the same thing. I come back from Europe, and I missed tryouts, and I went and played. I remember I played house league with POI. That was my team. We used to play out of Clatworthy. And do you remember Andrew Long? Andrew Long? He was my age, and he was the kid on the other team. And horrible story. Like Andrew got his finger caught in the door in the finals, and we were lucky, and he couldn't play. I don't know if it got cut off, but he couldn't play, and we went out and won the house league. But yeah, so my dad was always around. My dad was always around. It was my dad was either the head coach or the assistant coach, and I just think that playing all those years pro and
100%.
Yeah, it was teaching us the right things, how to back then I think things have changed. What you're teaching your guys and what we're trying to teach our players now compared to what we were taught back then. It was like, make passes on your backhand, receive pucks on your backhand, like, go to the front of the net, get in goals.
That's what you guys were
like. Those are things that I remember as a kid that were being.
But you don't think those are being taught right now?
Well, no, I think some of them don't not so nobody can take it on their backhand anymore, and people are teaching them how to toe drag.
Coaches want to win, right? So they're like, don't make a mistake out there. Right. So if you make a pass to your backhand, it gets picked off because it's weaker. They just want to avoid that. Whereas I would more like the guard school. I'd rather teach development so you can make a pass.
Well, when you get to the next level, you need to use it.
Yeah, exactly. Actually come off the glass every time as you get older.
So you don't get to just do that forever.
I mean, even out there today, you're making backhand passes, but like I remember Dave Babbage coming to Europe and stayed for 3 months with me in Aubrey, and he said that in Philly, they were giving him crap because whoever was the D coach was giving him crap because he was passing on his backhand. He was like a first round pick. I think it was first overall if we can check to Winnipeg. Like big, strong man. He couldn't make a backhand pass or a cross ice pass. He's like, no.
Cross ice is
No cross ice.
Discouraged.
Yeah. Yeah. So
strongly discouraged.
And I see it now too, and you probably see it too. It's a lot of like, even if we watch, the JRCs or I watched the Pete's game this year. It's like they fly the zone, wingers stand on the far blue line, and you wire it up and you tip it in, and now we'll go forecheck. And I think that's why you see a lot of these European kids come over and become, your very highly skilled defensemen or forwards in the NHL, because they're having the opportunity to make mistakes and to work on their game. I mean,
growing up, we played a ton of ball hockey too.
Right.
Ball hockey, pond hockey. You can make mistakes. Non-coaching, just go out there and have fun.
Yeah.
Play one-on-one. We called it hog, right? Like you can work on your skills in that type of environment. But in a game, you play in a structured system. I get that, but you're still able to use those and translate those skills. I don't feel like the city of Toronto banned playing ball hockey. There's not really a ton of pond hockey. I think where I grew up now, it's actually illegal to skate in the pond for insurance reasons. They
really? Okay.
Don't allow anyone to skate out there, which is unfortunate, right? Because that's where you grow up and you learn things and learn to make mistakes and try stuff on your own. You're trying to ingrain those patterns in your brain. So,
and I think the ball hockey also helped with guys' hands, like knocking pucks down because you're playing with a tennis ball or a golf.
Exactly.
Now you don't see kids do that. Kids will go out and they'll be like, you talk to every parent. They're like, well, my kid go out and shoot 500 pucks. Well, we never had. I don't remember anybody having like anything to shoot off. Maybe we shot off like plywood. Yeah. But like I didn't shoot pucks. I was out. We were playing ball hockey.
Right.
With the buddies carrying the net. I haven't seen ball hockey in like, I don't think we can play.
I think a lot of the townships and cities are banned on this.
Like I know my guy, the older guy, will get aggressive and start slashing kids. Like he just gets frustrated. And it's like
him and Gary are two peas.
Yeah. So but and then I also think that our pond hockey and our ball hockey is now, you have to facilitate that for kids. It's the skill skates. It's the go to the small rink. It's the 3-on-3. It's being coached. Yeah. There's no.
Well, we've talked about it a lot. Like kids that come out here and play with first round draft picks to the OHL, and they like can't figure out how to play 3-on-3. And you're like, how can you like? You're so much better than I am. Like not you guys, but like than I am.
Skill wise,
like you're so much better, but you just like can't figure out what to do out here. Like you're like lost.
Yeah, I think it shows the best players still. Look at some of the older guys; they're just reading the game well.
Yeah.
Look at Crosby; he played a ton. He calls it deck hockey, right?
Yeah.
It's the same thing.
Yeah,
it's unstructured, uncoached hockey.
Yeah,
and you just learn the patterns. And I feel like you read the game, you can read the other players, and it doesn't have to be coached.
Yeah.
So when you get the situation where you have to improvise a little bit, they can make those quick plays. They don't have to think about it. They don't have to process. So in my eyes, I think it's a mistake just having every minute of every game coached. I mean, it's tough to say that if you're, making money from training kids, because I feel like that's kind of the culture we've developed in Canada. You get them on the ice at 5 or 6, and everything is coached. Every time there's goalie coaches have their own coaches. You get personal coaches, you get skills, stick handling coaches, skating coaches. And I understand like those are the kids that are successful when they're young and that kind of get some of the best team, the best competition, and that breeds success as they're older. But I think there's a large component just enjoying the game. Like if you go have fun and you make mistakes and you're not getting penalized for it, you're not being told what to do, you can start refining those things so you're not making mistakes and you learn just to win. You can do it. You just learn your competitiveness. And I think in the long run, that works better.
So as a skills coach, you almost have to facilitate that for kids now, as opposed to previously where they would have facilitated that on their own and then they came to you for structure. Yeah. Now it's like they're getting structure everywhere. They come to you. It's like we need to like futsal style. Right.
Like I talked to some of the coaches and they'll be like, well, the parents don't want to see their kids just playing. They're paying me, whatever it is per hour. They want to feel like they're getting instruction, they're getting advice. And I was like, well, the best thing for these kids at 5 or 6 years old is go play right now.
Well, just rent
So it's
rent the ice.
It's tough to kind of change that culture now. I remember, I don't know if Pekka would like me saying this or not, but I asked him why that Finland creates so many good goalies.
Right.
And you look at Canada, we have, Bennington obviously played great in the World Cup there, but if you look overall, there's not too many Canadian goalies in the National Hockey League. And especially superstars. When we came from, years, the Quebec League produced so many. And he was saying that, and I don't mean to speak for him, but what they do over there is they let the kids play goalie to start. And then when they're like 12, 13, then they give them instruction. And they refine their technique once they're that age.
They just let them go.
Yeah. So they learn to stop the puck first.
Yeah.
So their instinct is to get in front of the puck and do whatever you can do. So every style is a little bit different, and you tweak that style.
Right.
Whereas here, we teach the kids at 5, 6 years old. They have goalie coaches, and they're saying, cut off the angle, hold your glove here. So the kids learn this mechanical way of playing goalie,
Right.
but they don't think they'll
Stop
stop
the puck.
They'll stop.
They look great. They look great, but it's in the background.
And then you get scored on. It's like, well, I have my glove in the right spot. It's like, well, I don't know if you're really encouraging that, but at the end of the day, like, the kids want instruction. They're paying to have these goalie coaches help them, but it's tough to break that culture where just go play. So
Right.
Yeah, that competitiveness to be like a Dominic Hasek or something like that. I think it's everywhere. It's like, I think you really need to like let them play. The best thing we ever did with our guys, and I've talked to A about this, is like we booked 3-on-3 ice at up in Newmarket, and for 2 years we would just go out once a week, and we had like 3 different lines and of 3 different ages, and they just went out, and we didn't coach them at all. We just opened the door and they went out and they played, and we had some really good kids come out of that.
I bet you they had fun too.
Yeah.
Actually,
Oh yeah, they had a great time.
Yeah.
Yeah, they had a great time. It was a good time, and I still think like you could do that nowadays. You could do like a root beer league. Like, it's just, instead of like a beer league, it's a root beer league. You come out and you get 5-on-5 or 20 kids, and you just throw them out on the ice, and
I like the different ages too. Like we played a ton of ball hockey. So my brother was a great organizer. He would call up the kids from our age. So we'd play in middle school. We'd call like grade 6. He was grade 8. So we'd call his buddies. We'd play after school, like right at the school. And then after that, we'd call the high school kids and we'd play with them. And then after that, we'd call the university kids and play with them.
Yeah.
So every group would get tired.
Yeah.
And then we would want to keep playing. So we'd play the next group and then the next group. So we were playing at midnight with these college kids in a parking lot somewhere.
Yeah.
Right? But you learn the different styles versus
Play
different
differently.
players. Yeah. So as you get older, you might not be the biggest guy. When you're a kid, you could be, 5'10" and you're huge when you're 13. But then as you get to the OHL, it's tough.
Yep.
Right? Because everyone else is big and strong.
Yeah.
It's funny you say that, because I remember my dad telling me a story. He was the youngest kid on the street, and they would beat up on him a little bit, but he would play with all the older kids, and you learn ball hockey all day long.
Yeah.
Now it never happens.
Yeah. I'm a big fan of kids playing up too. I know that's probably not a thing.
Yeah, I think it's important if you can fit it.
You're
Yeah.
up. But
Yeah, and also the other way, sometimes I think it's helpful, like you get experience to come down and do well and have more time to do stuff, and then you go.
100%. No, I meant kids that play their own age too.
Yeah,
it's not 100%
100%.
fully up there.
Yeah.
Yeah, because it's nice to feel both. You have a little more time out there. I know it's a difference between the transition I talk to guys that played pro in the AHL and then they go and play over in Europe. And they say, well, there's just so much more time. They got to get used to this game now where they get their head up and there's not a guy in their face. You have to chip and chase the whole time. You got to actually use your skill at your speed.
It takes a while. It takes a while for them to adapt. Yeah, 100%.
For sure. Okay, so then you play minor hockey waxers, go to JRC for a bit,
Yep.
come back, you get drafted like in your draft year to the OHL.
Yep.
Go to Brampton. How was that experience?
It was great. I mean, I talked to a bunch of OHL teams before I got drafted. Talked to a few that were out of the, somewhere out of the country. My parents didn't want me leaving. They thought it'd be better for me to stay at home, go to school normally. So I told the teams that, and I just wrote them a letter and said, if you guys draft me, and I wasn't bluffing. I had an 85% average. I said I'd go to Michigan State. I had full rides there. There's a few other ones that are Notre Dame. It's like really, really good schools. I went and toured all the facilities. It's pretty incredible. And at that time, it was a little more skewed towards the OHL, I'd say, but now it's about 50-50, or some people even prefer to go to the NCAA before this new rule change happened. So I had the mark, so I could go, and so all these teams just avoided me. And then I went to 17th to Brampton. He said I could live at home. Stan was really influential in my career. He gave me an opportunity to play as a 16-year-old, play a lot. And then got surrounded by some good players, and we went pretty far. I think my third year there, we had a good run. Went to the finals. We lost against Windsor. We had a bunch of injuries in the final, but it was the first time that rink was sold out.
And last. Hasn't been sold out since. Now Brampton and Mississauga play ping pong with teams. They just shoot them back and forth.
But no, I had a really good experience in junior.
We should get Benny in to talk about some of those stories. I've heard a few off camera.
Benny's got a lot of stories.
Yeah.
Anytime you're out, I mean, even though you're still living at home, you're still modified your life. So everything changes from grade 10 to 11.
Did you stay at home?
So I went to my regular high school from 8 a.m. till 12:30, and then I would go and do their workouts at 2:00. I would drive 20 minutes to the rink. So a lot of billets were further than that. In Brampton, it wasn't just Core Central in one spot. There were stuff in Orangeville, like small spots, like half an hour away. So it wasn't any different than anybody else. So it maybe feel part of the team, and got hurt there my third year. So, they did a really good job of kind of sheltering and protecting me that allowed me to take my time and do the rehab. I wasn't forced back into play, that I couldn't move. I couldn't touch my toes, or, I was doing rehab that kept hurting me. I was torn multifidus muscle, but I had no idea. I thought it was a disc injury. So I kept doing McKenzie exercises to try to push the disc back in, and it kept ripping the muscle every day. So it wasn't until I got hooked up with Gary Roberts that he finally figured out there's something seriously wrong here. I couldn't walk on a treadmill. Right. I tried to compete, play NHL, and it would shut me down. So couldn't move. And then he hooked me up with Mark Lindsay. Mark Lindsay said, "There's, if I can't fix you with my hands, there's something seriously wrong." So he sent me to Gally. And Gally, within 2 weeks, had diagnosed the problem with the hyperbaric chamber. Did PRP, was able to heal the muscles around it, and then got about 6 months of training with you guys. I felt much better. So I went back, played pro, and I think that time actually helped me a lot later on in my career because I wrote everything down. Like I had to relearn how to skate. All the muscles that I torn or basically shut down everything else. So I give Gary a lot of credit. He hired another trainer that specialized in this. His name was Adrian too. Worked on DOAs and things to activate individual strands of my muscles. Got it. So every day I'd come in there, and I think the commission was basically what I paid Gary. Like I don't think Gary made money on me my first year ever training. So I was always thankful for that. He set me up with the best traders and the soft tissue guys. Just made me feel like a real professional that I could actually handle it again. So when I went back to pro, I had this network of people that I could see and just make sure my body operated properly, and kind of babied my body for 6 years until the more serious injuries happened.
It's sad. If you're not in a big hub, like your career's probably over, right? Yeah. If you live in like Sarnia, Windsor, like, London, it's not to say there's not great people there, but like Toronto is fortunate. It has the best in the world inside of the city as it pertains to that category.
Oh yeah, for sure. You get hooked up with Mike Prebag and Mel and the whole staff there. Like they have networks that can see you anywhere. Yep. They'll fly out. They do the one-stop shop. So once you're in with the network, you never go back. No, it's pretty cool here.
Okay, and then you retired officially. What year? Well, not officially.
I was medically retired. I was told if I played hockey again, I would die. So I avoided playing hockey. I didn't touch my gear for almost 5 years. I put it in a locker. I didn't touch it. Didn't watch a lot of hockey, but I oversaw all the youth development in Nashville. Right. So I finished playing. It kept me around the game. I enjoyed it. And, being on the ice with the kids reminded me of when I started playing minor hockey. And I really had a great time. So it was nice of the Preds to give me a visa to allow me to stay down there and be around the game. And I think it was a great fit. So I did that for about 6 years after I was done, and then decided to move home. Basically end of COVID. Yep. As we moved closer to family, that type of stuff, and I started figuring out some techniques to make my body feel a little better, and then found one that just like allowed my body to release the muscle tension. So I have malignant hyperthermia. It's a rare muscle disorder that causes the muscles, basically anything soft tissue, to seize up, get tight, and your body overheats, and you eventually pass away from the complications of that. So I was able to, and I was told I was supposed to avoid when I was going through all the stuff with when I was playing for the Preds, and I was having heart arrhythmias, and that my lungs weren't working. I couldn't breathe, try to suck in air. I had to go to the hospital a few times. I was blacking out, and I was on every type of drug to try to release these symptoms. I was on muscle relaxers and anti-anxiety pills, and the doctors at the hospital were saying, like the reason you're so tight and all this and hot is because you're having a panic attack because you're not playing good hockey. And I was like, well, besides that, I'd like to, I don't care about hockey at this point, right? Mm-hmm. So they started testing me for brain, liver, lung cancer. That got pretty scary. There was 3-4 months there where I didn't know what was going on, and then finally, when I was told it was this malignant hyperthermia, I had to stop playing hockey. It was kind of a relief, to be honest. Like I had a lot of pain and ripped muscles for a long time. And when you go through like having heart arrhythmias and wake up in the middle of the night, you can't breathe, you try to suck in air, and your lungs aren't working. It's a scary feeling. So, they told me I could live a normal life. I just have to avoid prolonged physical activity, contact sports, going from hot to cold or cold to hot. high stress environments, and then avoid excessive caffeine and alcohol. Those things all trigger it, which I had no idea. Well, play. This is the job description, so play. I did NHL. So if I was told this as a kid, I probably wouldn't have been able to play hockey. So I looked at it, I was very fortunate to be able to play at all.
Yeah.
I was, lucky to play in minor hockey, lucky to play the OHL, very fortunate to play the NHL and play 6 years.
That's awesome.
So without the network that I had, the doctors around me that allowed me to play that, I wouldn't have been able to do it. If I didn't get hooked up with the Roberts community, there was no chance I play.
That's awesome. If you want to blow your nose, you can, by the way.
I'd love to blow my nose.
Okay. Yeah. We'll do as much as we can. We'll have you back on.
Change my voice.
Yeah, we'll have you back on for another one so people can know. What was it like? You good enough? You got time? Yeah, you're good. Yeah. What was it like stepping back on the ice after that? Like, what was that like?
Well, the whole series was kind of bizarre. Like, I started doing this Wim Hof method. I wanted to do the cold. I thought it would be really good for my mind and mental clarity. But I knew I was supposed to avoid going from cold to hot or hot to cold. So I thought, I'm going to die doing this stuff. I got to figure out some ways and techniques to make my body like heat up beforehand.
Yep.
And I came across Wim Hof on the internet. So I started doing some of the breathing stuff before. And this weird thing came over my body that just, there's nothing that releases my muscles. Once I triggered this malignant hyperthermia, there's a type of pill called dantrolene. It's been around since the 70s. It's the only treatment. There's one treatment. It's so rare, so there's not a lot of funding for it, right?
We're not going to deploy a lot of resources against it. You and 6 other guys.
And they wipe you out. Like, you're not supposed to operate heavy machine. You're not supposed to drive.
Okay, so
you're trying to do like a business deal or something, just like loopy them, slow them out of it, tired. So I really try to avoid this as much as possible. But there's some points where I'm like, that's the only thing that will cause my muscles to release or take the temperature out of my body so I can relax and I'm not super hot and I start shutting down or tear a muscle. So I want to avoid that as much as possible. So I don't want to take it before doing the cold tub. But I'm doing this breathing. I got to the same point where the muscles just released on their own.
Okay.
And so I was thinking to myself, like, if I don't need this, probably at that. There you go, bro. If I don't need this dantrolene, like, and my muscles are released, like, and I go into the cold, and I started feeling good. I was playing hockey once a week. I was playing with you guys a little bit, and
and you started to pick it up.
I started feeling a little better. I was still 235 pounds, but I just felt like it was easier to move, easier to breathe. And so I called up a guy that I grew up with, Kevin Carr, and he was still playing professionally. So I said, hey, if you ever got any skates, like, and you want an extra, guy that's, you're not just hiring anyone off the street, like, your buddy or something like that, like, oh, come on, play. I'd love to see what I could do now. I haven't pushed myself. Literally, it was like over 7 years.
Yeah.
And so I want to see what I could do, feeling this way. And so I went before, and I started off with a little bit of dantrolene, and I would go smaller and smaller, and I ended up pull the pills apart. And I was just like, I started measuring out exactly how much I needed till my body could release the muscles and not have this like loopiness and like mess up my vision. Like, if I played ping pong on it, the ball would go by me and I'd swing at it.
Okay.
Like, I was so delayed.
Got it.
So I didn't want to have that when I was playing, especially with, as I was playing with better and better players, it would be kind of dangerous or it'd be embarrassing out there. So anyway, I came out there and I loved the fast pace with it. And then I did kind of like surprisingly well. Like, guys that were still training, it was like August by this time. And I think there was probably like, 10 goals scored, and I might have had 6.
Right.
And so guys were looking at me like, I haven't played in 8 years.
I think I got it.
I'm fat. Like, like, what are you doing? Like, you want to come back? So it kind of got me excited a little bit. And then I started pushing myself. I'm like, I want to see if I can trigger this, because I don't want to.
Yeah, of course.
I just wanted to, be healthy and feel like I can play. And at the same time, you're competitive still. So I wanted to see exactly what I could do and how far I could push the limits. And it just never triggered. And so the next week I pushed a little more, and then I add maybe a second skate in the week, and then a third skate, and then I started to skate 4 times a week. And I was like, I'm loving this. This is like almost back to my old, routine. So I and then the guys didn't complain. They started, asking if I would come out rather than me asking if I come out. They started recruiting. I was like, well, if you want to, you got an next guy. Like, they're probably like, yeah, sure. Have a charity case. Come on out. You're not going to be, slow it down too much, right?
Yeah, you'll be okay.
And then, I started feeling really good. And then one of my former coaches saw me.
Okay.
He's like, Cody, you got to play. Like, you got to at least try. Like, come out. And he's like, how much do you weigh? I was like, 234.
Bit heavy.
He's like, get down to 200.
Yeah.
This is Brad Wheeler.
Okay.
He goes, get down to 200. And I'll skate you. This is like end of August now, so everyone's leaving. No one's sticking around. And I was like, all right, I'll come out and I'll skate and I'll push as hard as I possibly can. And if this thing triggers, I know it's not meant to be. And
Well, if anything was going to trigger it, it's a wheels session.
yeah,
So
exactly. There's nothing harder than wheels. Games will be easy after doing wheels.
no warm up and down the sheet 7 times.
Yeah.
Hip flexors.
Yeah.
Tight
You
as a
gotta make
drum.
sure you're good to go before stepping on the ice. If you're on the ice, you're fair game at wheels. So
Well, that's
yeah,
awesome.
it was fun. I got right back into it. I lost 45 pounds. I got down to 190, and then I just wanted to make sure I was good to go before I did it. And then I started calling teams, and that was kind of an awkward, of course, conversation.
Hey guys, I'm back.
Well, though most teams are like, yeah, it's it's nice that you're skating. Like that's good that you're healthy again.
Yeah.
Good to hear from you. Like things are good off the ice. Like do you need the money? Is that what you're coming back? Like,
What'd you
like,
blow it on?
Are you okay? Like you can start in the East Coast if you get a tryout there or something. And I was like, well, I've been skating quite a bit, and I feel pretty confident in my game. So I'd love to be able to start at a higher level if I can. And they're like, okay, well, where have you been playing? I was like, well, I play in this downtown men's league. I played 3-on-3, and I've been skating with wheels.
They're good skates, though.
Yeah, they're really good
Got a
skates.
guy named Grovey out
They're
there.
really good skates, and they keep you sharp. So, well, most guys like, it's nice, but we don't want to take a spot away from the young guys. Like, we got a development league here. We don't want to take away ice time, and it was nice of them to field my calls. And so I basically called everyone I knew in my hockey Rolodex. It was like, what would you do in this situation? Obviously, I haven't played in a while, but I still felt, if my body worked, I could do okay.
Yeah.
And so I talked to like everyone that I knew growing up that had any association with a team, just like embarrassingly called people and put myself out there and said, hey, you want to
take a shot?
And then I talked to, Eric Lindros got me involved with Brian Burke, who then called people on my behalf, and, Gary, and I talked to, Guy Boucher with the Leafs. And I was just like, anyone that has any affiliation. And I got talking with Terry Crisp.
Okay.
Because he's, he's the only person ever won Stanley Cup as a player.
Yep.
In the organization as a coach.
So was he had left?
He was in Nashville.
Okay. I was gonna say,
he was the announcer there.
Yeah.
But he knew everybody in the hockey world, and he's got such a great reputation. So I asked him, and he said, what I would do is I would volunteer to have them look at you. Like, you can't ask for a tryout.
Oh,
like, you can't ask for a PTO. Like, you haven't played in 8 years. No one knows what's going on. So then I started calling teams again. I started calling the AHL teams. I was like, hey, if I will pay my way, I will get my own hotel room. If you want to just watch me beforehand, you can see if it's dangerous for me to go on the ice.
Yeah.
So every team was like, it's nice again, like you see. And then I called Scott Nickel, and initially he was he's the GM in Milwaukee. Initially he was a little apprehensive, and then we got off the phone, and I didn't really think anything of it. It's just I called a couple teams, Phillies teams. I talked to probably 7 or 8 different teams at that point after talking with Terry and offered that. And then it went on Hockey Night in Canada.
You were trying to...
Yes, and I was trying to make a go of it.
Yeah.
And then my phone started blowing up. I started getting...
If Elliot drops it...
Yeah, it was really nice of them to do that. I was very
news.
appreciative of Elliot to do that for me. And the whole connection there. So when I talked to Scooter, he said, I was thinking about it all night. I thought about it in the morning, and let's just give it a shot. So you don't need to get your hotel. You don't need to get your own way. We'll pay for everything.
Yeah,
fly in,
out.
get to the hotel, and we'll just, we'll have you skate on your own for a couple of days and make sure you're, okay to join the team.
With their skills coach or whatever.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Just skate with the extras.
Yep.
And then went out there, and it was a completely different experience that I remember. It's nice to be back in the pro environment, but when you walk into a room and everyone's like, hey, great to have you out here. It's really nice to see you. Like, really happy that you're healthy. This is players, right? Like,
yeah.
Normally you walk into a room, if you're any threat, like guys are a little bit colder to you.
But no one thought you were...
So everybody's being nice.
It was Make-A-Wish. It was Make-A-Wish.
It was like
what we were talking about.
Yeah, it was fantasy camp.
Fantasy camp for big guys.
This old guy come in and, let him skate with the guys. It's nice, right? So they watched you skate a couple days, and then I joined the team at regular practice, and I was it's like, as much as it is the 3-on-3 here and the skating,
it's
like
different.
when you skate up and down the ice and you're at a shift and normal mentality, you feel like, just everything's on top of you, and you hope your systems are good. Like the amount of dangeling that I was taking, the breathing beforehand to release everything, and the cold tubs that I would do. Like it meticulous, this whole process. And I was doing it at a hotel room. I was trying to eat clean. So I bought like an air fryer and I was frying the stuff out of
food,
Oh yeah, in the hotel rooms. I'm sure it smelled horrible for the cleaning staff after I was gone. But finally, eventually and I actually give them a lot of credit for the way they do this there. They bring guys back. They love them to do a warm-up beforehand before actually getting to a game. So I got there and they said, we're just going to take warm-up for tonight's game.
Okay.
Which is amazing for them to do that. Gets me back in the routine. I haven't been to rink 3 hours early.
Yeah, and in forever.
Literally since I stopped playing, right? In men's league, you show up 10 minutes before the game, put your gear on, you go play, right? So I had to remember my old
Turn
routine.
the heat on the car on the way.
You're not doing game. You're not doing breathing in the parking lot, are
all
you?
that stuff. No, I was doing it right before going to the rink. So I would
No, but I'm talking 3-on-3 now.
Yeah, exactly.
Cody's out there doing some Wim Hof. Look at him, there he is.
Yeah. Well, if I don't, my muscles seize up, right?
Yeah,
it's no fun. So I got to take more of the pills and it makes you loopy and slow. So
you're out there
off. It's because I taken too much damage.
So you're out there taking warm up, ready to rock.
Yeah, and the fans are all there. Had the fans and everything.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it's just it's like stepping back in time from 8 years ago, and it really got me back in that mentality. And then a couple days later, I got my first game, and I remember the first period, I got hit center ice, broke my rib.
Good start.
Good start. Going through the middle, got hit, and I was wearing just like men's league gear. I left all my stuff in Nashville. I didn't think I'd ever use it, so I was just like picked up stuff off the shelf here when I was playing men's league. I didn't want to like travel home to grab my stuff in Nashville. I started skating, and I just said, okay, this is good enough. And then so I had like metal clips where the suspenders are, and I got hit, but right in the spot where the rib is, the cartilage. So played the rest of that game, was struggling. And then I tried playing one more game. I was like, man, this is tough to breathe. Like I gotta figure out what's going on. I try to, in a PTO, they can cut you for any reason.
Of course.
So I didn't want to go in there as sitting at the trainer's table and show them a liability or something.
Yeah.
And so I got in there, and sure enough, they go get X-rays, and I got a cracked rib. Right. So it's at least 4 weeks. And I was like, oh, well, that's it. It's nice of them to give me a chance. They did their charity. They did their good deed. It was nice of them to
good story.
Give me a shot. Yeah, it's a good story. So they obviously get the X-rays, and we talk, and I was talking to Scott Nickel, and I was like, thanks for giving me the opportunity. I really appreciate it. He's like, well, when you get better, you're gonna come back. Like, we'll get you a place to stay. And so I must have done something in those couple weeks where I was practicing with the guys and played that they made me, allowed a spot to be opened up. They said Guarino just signed with the Preds, so he's not going to be using his long-term housing to give him one of the best spots, and they really made me feel really comfortable. And
awesome. You played what, 12 games?
Yeah, so I came back and I scored that game, and then I scored the next game, and I think at one point I had 6 goals in 5 games, and it was a lot of fun. We started rolling. It was part of an 18 or 19 game winning streak with the team, so it was just a fun atmosphere to be a part of. Us step back into an old lifestyle. It was just fun to get rocking and with the boys in the room and scoring goals and being a part of it is awesome.
Everyone's playing every time he walks into the stadium at this point, comes in the arena. Guess who's back.
So no, I would have loved to kept it going, but I missed one day of doing the breathing in the cold and the dance drilling, and we were just in a day off in San Diego, and went for a walk on the beach, playing with the guys, and ripped it back, and
that was it.
So yeah, so
just like that
took a couple weeks. Yeah, so if I don't do it, body seizes up, and then it's too much. So ripped it, and then I tried coming back, and that's when more serious stuff happened. That was my last game. I actually felt most comfortable in that game. I felt like I could have a couple points, and it felt great, like mentally. When you first come out, it's 300 miles an hour. Like, you're tapping guys are right in your face. This is like, it's contact for the first time.
You get hit out here.
Games, and then
Gary gives you a couple times out here.
Yeah, he does. Poor Brian. Ooh, sorry.
Yeah.
Another one. Chalk it up. Find the time slot. Was another swear. Sorry, kids. Yeah.
So then you get, the couple games in, you start moving 100 miles an hour, and then 50, and then 20, and then it gets to be games like normal game speed.
Yeah.
And then you start slowing it down. So by the end, my vision and everything started coming back, and I started slowing the game down. And
that's awesome.
And it was just, it was a lot of fun to play again. So that's unfortunate, but I know if I can't do that, if I can't come back and do this routine that takes forever, just build it all up, it's a huge process. So if I can't even do that for an off day, that I probably can't go back and play professional hockey full time. But I'm glad I did it. It was a fun fantasy camp. I wish I triggered it earlier, so I would have known that it could have happened again. But I trained as hard as I possibly could for 6 months, nothing. Played for 3 months, nothing, and then it just came back. So gave it my all, and I'm glad I did it, because now I know I can live normally. I can work out, and I kept the weight off, and I feel great. So it was I think it was a good experience for
You
me.
made great passes out there too, bud. So don't worry about it.
Yeah, we can win out here. So
yeah, exactly.
that's what this really came out. That's what the
Leroy.
comeback is for.
Yeah, just do better on Wednesdays.
Yeah.
Just do better on Wednesdays. Okay, we're gonna get up to the clock here, so we'll wrap this up shortly. But now a new chapter. Joining the GRP team, coming to do some coaching, some on ice skills coaching, and you're coaching a kids team as well. So what's been the most fun about that?
Yeah, so I kind of got roped into coaching the minor hockey. That's not something I saw myself doing when I was done playing, but I really enjoy it. One of my best friends, Brian Cameron, he was drafted by the Kings and a third rounder, really good player. I grew up with him. He had some injuries. That's why he never, continued on, past the A, but really, really good player, really smart. So I knew when he was teaching the kids, it would be fun. So I would go visit when I was coming back from Nashville. I lived there for when I was done playing for 7-8 years. And then when I would be home, I would just go visit him at the rink. And he'd say, when do you want to come on the bench with the guys? So I come with the kids and we'd run through some stuff. And then in the game stuff, I'd go out. And it was a good time. I learned a lot. I think it's important, even if you're playing, to go coach, because you see things that coaches make mistakes too. It's not the coach doesn't like you. Or sometimes he just misses you in the lineup. Like there's something, he's not singling you out, or there's something personal. It's just sometimes
It's hard.
Yeah,
it's hard.
It's hard coaching, right? So I wish I knew that while I was playing, but it's given me a different lease, and I enjoy spending time with Brian. And we're going this weekend. We're going the All Ontario's to Kingston. We got 4 days there at the kids, and we'll find some stuff to do and then hang out. But
Little hotel room life.
yeah, exactly. Back to the
road.
minor hockey on the road in the hotels, and it gave me an itch to be back on the ice. And so I thought, it would be really nice to get back in around the OHL level. And then Gary, asked if I would do some of the pro stuff with you guys, and I think it's an amazing opportunity. I'd love to be a part of it. So I'm really excited about it. I think we're gonna have a good summer.
That's awesome. Okay, last question. Unless you got one more, guys. You got one, and then I'll fire last one.
Do I have a question? No, I mean, I have lots of questions. I think we're going to have him back on.
We'll have him back on. It's no problem.
Yeah, I mean, I
Less
think
nasally on the next one.
Yeah.
The stuff's up nose. I don't know how that comes across.
Yeah, I think the biggest thing is so what's the biggest change you see from when you grew up playing minor hockey? I know it's hard to see that because you're going through it as a kid, so we really don't sit back and watch it. But is there anything that you've learned in the last couple of years that you would say to the kids or to parents is important to focus on if they're trying to to drive their dream and maybe 1 or 2 or 3 points that you'd say, okay, these are the 3 things that I think you need to concentrate on moving forward to put yourself in a situation to be successsul?
Yeah, I think a lot of kids, and I was the same way, you think you're playing NHL. Like you think your end goal is to play in the National Hockey League. And if you don't think that way, there's no chance of playing. So you have to think that way anyway.
Okay.
But I worry that some of the parents and the coaches think that's their pathway to the NHL too. So in my case, like we talked about earlier, I played house league because I couldn't play AAA. So that was fine. As a 15-year-old, I went and played midget. I made the junior team as a 14-year-old, and then played my Bantam year.
Yeah.
So I guess it would be 14, 15 year with the Waxers, and then the next year I was supposed to go up.
Right.
And they banned any 15-year-olds from playing junior hockey at the time. So my parents had 2 other kids. My sisters both played hockey, and my brother played hockey. So we couldn't afford and time-wise to get everyone to the rink. So I played with my older brother. It wasn't a decision like this is my best path to make the NHL. It's just a life decision. I feel like
It was a family decision.
Yeah, it's a family decision.
Yeah.
And I worry that we kind of get so distracted by this end goal that we kind of put everything else to the side, and it takes away from the hockey too. I feel like the most well-rounded athletes, and I wish I played other sports more, but we went to the cottage, so I wouldn't touch the ice for sometimes 3 months. But I did other things to keep my athleticism. I water skied, we tubed, we biked a lot, volleyball. Some skills that I wish other kids got into I wish I did more would be like lacrosse or baseball. I think that would have made me a better, well-rounded athlete. So I think the first thing is make sure you enjoy the game for just the game. Like even if you don't play in the NHL, I think what's going to make you a better hockey player is actually enjoying it because you're going to spend more time out there.
Yeah.
And you make it, it's a bonus. It's it's great. And then playing more unstructured hockey. So you don't have your parents watching. You don't have your, coaches critiquing you every moment. It's a different way of thinking in the game.
Yeah.
And then third, to play other sports. Make sure you take time away from the rink and go. I know it's kind of counterproductive these elite athletes that you want to train, but I think that's the best formula. I think guys have to be excited when they come to the rink, and you could still train other things that make them successful. Like some of the best hockey players I know are some of the best athletes. You look at Tavares playing lacrosse. He was one of the best lacrosse players in the world at what, 16, 17. He chose to play hockey. Stammer's renowned for being a good athlete.
Yeah,
baseball
player, yeah.
Yeah, he was good at everything. He did track and field.
Yeah.
And so if I was to train an elite athlete, if I was my own kid, I would, it sounds kind of crazy, but I wouldn't make it so crazy on making the NHL. I would make him play more unstructured, and I would say play other sports.
But you also know how hard it is to make it, right? So like it's not like, and I say that in that, like, we don't know who's going to make it. Like we can't pick it.
Yeah,
like,
and there's
the guys
luck
that
and opportunity and coaches that you just need. Now I always looked at it. Matthew Maron used to make fun of me because my body is not like meant to be an athlete. We talked about this. You got short legs and not the best like numbers in terms of like working out or strength and explosiveness. Anything that's like can be measured, I'm not the best at. But kind of I always thought I don't look at why I'm not going to make an NHL. I'm going to look at why I am going to make an NHL. I started looking at the positives of what I had. How I could make it.
They forget in skates.
Swimming in a circle.
Swimming in a circle.
Oh, I think you hit it on the head. I think I mean, obviously with what the program we're trying to do for these guys here is they've come to a position in their life where it's like, okay, how can we help you? The best way to provide you to get better, but it's not like we're skating every day.
No,
like
we skate three.
Yeah, like
no, you need that. You need the
like I talk to
the coaching, but you
no, but I'm saying about the skating wise is like people say, because I've talked to a couple younger age groups about being part of the program, and they're like, we're not going to skate more. I'm like, guys, the NHL guys skate twice a week, maybe 3 times. I said, you guys don't need to skate this much. You need to get off the ice, and if you want your kid to grow and get stronger and get bigger, you can't skate because you're gonna like. I'm obviously learning all this, but you'll lose everything that we just did in the gym. So, I just think it's also just being part of a healthy lifestyle. And I've seen over the last couple of years, and maybe it's also part of the coaching. I mean, you're sort of, you're helping on, which I think is great. But like, you gotta what are we really doing it for? You gotta have fun, and you gotta enjoy it. You have to. You have to. You can't create it. You don't want to go through it because it goes way too fast. We were at a banquet yesterday, and you looked at all the little 9-year-olds and 10-year-olds, and you're like, man, that was them back then, and now they're almost out of the room.
Yeah.
And you're like, did you really have fun? Did you enjoy it? What were the best takes? And
the best take probably wasn't that chili flake like jar that went on the pasta at every sports banquet, though. That probably wasn't the best take.
No.
The fake Parmesan.
They had the fake Parm out today.
Loosen it a little bit for your buddy. You guys to pour it everywhere.
Yeah. Well, kids were dipping bread in Coke last night. Oh yeah, it's great.
But that's the best part.
That's part of the fun. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, but that's what I mean. It's like
in the hotel room.
Mini sticks. Or we take the kids paintballing. I'm sure you talk to anybody on that team. Paintballing was the funnest, or the pool parties, or So you hope people have that experience.
That's awesome.
And I was fortunately, I grew up in Halliburton with 4 other NHL guys that all played and retired in the community. So I got this advice from them.
Right.
Ron Stackhouse owned the gym. Glenn Sharpley owned the sports store. McKex owned the restaurant there. So I would go and I'd pick these guys' brains. Basil McCrae grew up with my dad. He would train there. His son Phil would come up and train.
Yeah, and then we got, this is in Carnarvon too.
Bernie Nichols.
Bernie Nichols
grew up with my dad. So I got advice. I would just shamelessly ask them for advice all the time. And so I kind of grew up in that environment. Well, it doesn't seem like it's that far off. If you want to play in the NHL, you can dedicate the time, you'll make it.
Yeah.
So I think that's part of it too. You got to believe that you can do it. Then you put in the time and do those stuff, but also make sure you enjoy the other things too, because you want to look forward to coming to the rink.
For sure.
Just love the game. The best players love the game. Watch Ovi. Watch every time that guy scores.
It's the best move.
He lost the game.
Yeah.
That's why he's doing it.
Yeah, exactly.
That's why he'll do it till 900 or more, because he loves it.
No, he
Loves the game.
Yeah, he doesn't need to play anymore.
Yeah.
But he will.
I know. No, I agree. Okay, last one. There's 3 guarantees in this world: death, taxes. Edmonton plays LA. Who do you got first round? Oil or Kings?
I like the Oilers.
You like the Oilers?
Yeah. Depends how healthy the guys are.
You think the Walking Wounded's pulling it out?
Yeah, I like
You could slot right in that roster, by the way. Your age is perfect for that roster.
a little more senior.
Yeah.
That's good for the playoffs. So experience.
Not by that much.
Call it experience.
Not by that much.
No.
I think Himes might be the second youngest forward on their team.
Wow.
Yeah.
Really?
They are.
I remember in Buffalo, I was the 4th oldest guy at 24.
Yeah, no. They are old. They're old for sure. So,
I talked to
you had oil?
well, I got the oil, but I talked to a mom from an LA player last night.
Okay.
Yeah,
sure I did.
you know who it is, and
No, I saw Darcy with the cross check.
the little cross check in the head, and they
Yeah.
pulled him off. But she thinks they're all faking. She's like, they're faking. They're not all hurt in Edmonton. I know. I talk to moms, because there's that little back and forth.
You
Yeah.
have the moms.
She's like, I can't believe they're doing that. So I said, it's going to be a good one.
Already in the playoffs.
Yeah,
rest up.
Well, that's the other thing too. Is I feel so, like I said to her, like she goes to sleep and wakes up to watch it. I mean,
yeah.
Yos's mom used to go to bed and then wake up in the middle of the night and watch Nashville
Because
play.
what time?
Well, in Switzerland it was 6 hours for Yo. It was 6 hours.
6 hours.
But for us here at LA, it's 3.
No,
right?
it's still 3. But I'm saying
Still.
for
her it was 6. So I would come home at nights from games, maybe on the road, and I could see the light was on and that she had the big screen, and I would go up and I would, because you can't sleep after games, I'd go watch the first period, watch Nashville play. So I mean that's a mother's love, right? Like that's a family, a parent's love, right?
My grandma would do the same thing.
Yeah.
My grandma would go to bed,
Wake up.
nap, and then watch the Vancouver games.
Yeah,
That's
well,
awesome.
that's the thing. Yes.
West Coast is hard when you're in the East. There's no doubt.
Yeah.
Those like 10 o'clock starts. Then playoffs come, and then you had OT.
I think about the guys in the Maritimes.
Oh,
They do it. They must do it every game.
they do. We still works with this guy who doesn't miss an Oilers game. He's a diehard Oilers fan, and he's in Newfoundland, so he's got an extra half hour. Doesn't miss a game. I'm like, dude, you go to bed every night at like 3:30, 4 a.m. Yeah. Anytime we're out on the East Coast and I watch hockey, I'm like, this is painful to watch. Like it's
West
just-
Coast, the best place to watch sports.
West Coast by
Yeah,
far.
it's
Best
geared-
place.
geared towards you. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's great.
5 o'clock start.
Yeah. It's awesome.
Yeah.
Dinner,
Yeah. Exactly.
then watch
good.
the last late game. So
Yeah.
Okay. Well, Cole, thanks for coming on. We'll have you back
Yeah.
on. Obviously, we're excited to have you all summer with us.
Thanks for having me, boys. That was great. Yeah. Looking
Awesome.
forward to it. It's gonna be a good summer.
Thanks, guys.